Hey, I'm just trying to make my nut. Okay, so I like the most recent episode of South Park. They really didn't let up from last week, but their targets certainly changed. They decided to focus on two major things, ICE and the culture war debate bros. Just a quick summary, and I'm gonna split this into the A plot and the B plot because doing it all at once was a little disjointed. Okay, so it opens with the newly christened school. Everyone is upset at someone for saying offensive things, which Eric emerges very proud of, only to find that Clyde has stolen his thunder. Yeah, Clyde is a podcast where he essentially debates points from a conservative point of view, but really Eric just sees it as taking his thunder, even taking his insults. This ends up getting around to school counselor Mackie, and Clyde gives the best reply to anything ever. Hey, I'm just trying to make my nut. This is a good time to let you know that my name is Gilly Monster. I put out a video on every new episode of South Park the day after it airs. We talk about other stuff too. Like and subscribe, let's have some fun. So Power Christian Principal pulls Mackie aside to tell him that non-essential school personnel are no longer needed and that he's lost his job. And there's only one counselor the school needs, which makes me sad because honestly Mackie is one of my favorite characters. This is where the plots separate, so we're gonna focus on the Cartman Craig storyline for a little bit and then we'll move into Mackie's plot. So Eric is mad that Clyde is a master debater. Which, can I say that? Can I say that? Because he feels like he could do it better. Eric shows up on Clyde's podcast saying that's his shtick, and before Clyde can even debate him, right away he has to plug his protein powder. Which, like, do you even have like a YouTube show if you're not plugging like some strange powder or strange supplement that you put into your system? I feel like that's how you know you've made it, when you're selling something that a store wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. I love that Cartman says he's ripping him off, because he is. Clyde is going back to debate some of the kids at the school, a very on-brand move for these master debaters. Drops a "what is a woman" quote. They see you, Matt Walsh. I love the little touch of him drinking water, and Eric just knocks him out. He's sick of people stealing his shtick, takes his place, and proceeds to do literally the job he was born to do and become the master debater. Of course, they call out that it's the worst haircut they've ever seen. Watch Eric Cartman debate woke college girls. So there's a whole running joke of him being a master debater, like in the bathroom too long and in bed, and his mother really doesn't like him master debating to these young college girls. Like, she's walking by his room and he's quoting Leviticus or talking about abortion and like catching him in the act, saying that it feels so good and he could just edit out the ones that can actually debate well. True story. But his mom tells him that she knows it feels good, but don't do it all the time, and he proceeds to master debate all the time. But he ends up at the Charlie Kirk Master Debater Awards, narrowly losing to Clyde, yelling on the way out that you all stole his shtick. Alright, so back to the Mackie plot. So Mackie is talking to what I'm pretty sure is the "it's gone" guy, and I was waiting the entire episode for him to say that. And he tells him he's gonna have to earn a little more to cover his nut, and that ICE is hiring, offering $100K, and they have the best recruitment song. If you need a job, it's a job to have, and they seemingly will take anyone. Also, I love the nice touch of everyone wearing a face mask. Check out my last video about that. So Kristi Noem, the current director of Homeland Security, who I really think takes the brunt of the jokes this episode, is in an orientation video with an emphasis on her just doming any dog that comes onto the scene. She told this story like trying to be relatable or tough or something about killing her own puppy. This is a real story. This happened, and this also happens at least like 5 times in the show. I know I'm undercounting that. Mackie ends up being handed a rifle and going on his first raid. To the Dora the Explorer like concert for children, Kristi Noem congratulates Mackie and her face just starts falling off. The people end up getting upset at ICE's behavior, and a protester says that they know there's a ton of decent migrants in heaven, and that's all the info ICE needs to literally raid heaven. Standout scene is asking the angels, so what are you doing in heaven? Mackie returns to the bank to find that even though his bank account is bigger, his nut is somehow bigger as well. More money, more problems. But all is well. ICE raids the bank to tell him he's being personally honored by the president, and Trump is of course here with a little baby JD. Mar-a-Lago's for everyone who's got a nut. Trump is offering Mackie the gig to be the new head of the Department of Homeland Security, and also to nut with him and Satan. Shout out to little baby JD, who offers to put baby oil wherever it's needed. Mackie's in too deep, starts freaking out, running down the hallway, seeing these gross old men being massaged by these workers, which I do wonder if it's a call out to something else that's been in the news lately. Come to think of it, the spa workers were pretty front and center when everyone got there. Interesting. And eventually he finds poor Dora. Oh, Dora, you deserve better. And in the last door, he ends up finding Clyde, who won a trip to Mar-a-Lago after winning the Charlie Kirk Award, who's depressed. He doesn't want to be doing these things anymore. He's also in too deep and just isn't happy. He really didn't want all of this. Then Mackie does something he's actually trained to do. He talks to Clyde and himself, saying that we all have a lot of pressures and we all want nice things. If you do things you really don't believe or want to do, eventually your nut will become too big and you will become sadder. Somehow Clyde doesn't know it's Mackie the entire time. Man, those face masks really do work, tells Clyde he's a counselor. Kristi Noem is mad that Trump was going to appoint Mackie and shoots apparently the one thing that was going to save us, Super Dog. Her face falls off yet again. This is a running joke through the entire episode. And during the chaos of this thing getting loose, Mackie, Clyde, and Dora, who deserves better, get out of Mar-a-Lago. It ends in this weird, peaceful song, which I wonder is the pro-Trump messaging that was mentioned at the end of episode 1. Like I said, the episode was great, but I didn't like it as much as the season opener. But I love the real-world ripples. I've already talked about the masked ICE agents and a lot of the funding being removed from public services like schools, and organizations like ICE getting massive funding increases, which is becoming like pretty much its own branch of the military with its level of funding. And also the standards to join, even for people who may support their actions, I think leave a lot to be desired. But it's hard out there, and Mackie's got to go where the money is. I wonder if there's any real Mackies out there. Maybe someone who's worked for a school system but found themselves having to get their nut, put on an ICE uniform, a face mask. I don't know, something to think about. And in regards to the master debaters, I've always wondered this. There's been rumblings of a lot of these people having, in Hillary Clinton terms, a public and private position. And those public positions are there to get clicks or support. And like, how long can you do the grift if you don't really feel it? In all honesty though, Clyde should have left this bone for Eric to pick. He was born to be an edgy YouTuber. Come to think about it, a lot of these conservative personalities have kind of a Cartman likeness to them. But I really do like the comparison of debating to something else, because after a while these debates kind of evolve past debating, past an issue, and at times get into the territory of self-flagellation, not just for the participants but the viewers as well. A lot of these people really are little Erics that like hide behind a Bible quote or just being fast talking and edgy to these kids just to make people look foolish. All in all, it was a great episode, but like I said, I didn't like it as much as the season opener. I think that was a hard act to follow, and that episode is goated, and there was so much to dig through. But this one was a little more straightforward, yet at times a little more disjointed. Somehow it was more and less focused. But that's all I gotta say. I'm still excited for the season going forward, and I'm really pumped to see where they go from here. Clearly, there's some things that are gonna just stick around from episode to episode, and we'll just have to wait and see what those things are. Until then, peace, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Or sooner if you watch other stuff I have. Hint, hint.